Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and this is another episode of my BBL match reviews. This one, as I said, is a double. It is a double header. So with me reviewing the Melbourne Stars Perth Scorchers game over at the good old Junction Oval, and the match later on that night, between the Brisbane Heat and the Adelaide Strikers. This is gonna be the next review, which is probably which is on the game today between the Hobart Hurricanes and the Melbourne Renegades. That is going to be the last match review I'm going to be doing for at least for about 2-3 weeks, because I'm gonna because I've said it so many times, I'm going to say it again. I'm probably heading down to Geelong for a week, I would assume, and then afterwards, I would spend that second week probably just doing other bit of content before I delve back into these reviews again. So this episode, the next episode, then it will be a couple of weeks break for these, and then I'll delve back into these again after that. So let's get into the game down at the Junction Oval between the Stars and the Scorchers. The Scorchers won the bat flip and elected the bat first. Now, I didn't watch these two games. I should have said a moment ago, because obviously these two games were on free to air. We're not on free to air, I should say. They were on pay TV on Fox, instead of being on Channel 7. So I couldn't watch these two games, obviously. I was planning on watching some of the highlights of that game, but I didn't get around to doing it. So the Scorchers won the bat flip, elected the bat first. On the first ball, the action started straight away with Adam Live hitting the first boundary off the first ball. Soon afterwards, Faf du Plessis hit the first six of the game, first of many sixes in the Scorchers innings. Adam Live soon afterwards was caught behind for just seven. The Scorchers ended their power play on 1 for 33, and then again soon afterwards, Faf du Plessis brought up his 50, which he didn't do over at Launceston, as we all know. He brought this one off 27 balls. He soon reached a 50-run partnership between him and Nick Hobson. And then soon, unfortunately, his innings would come to an end, and the partnership between he and Hobson would come to an end. His innings was off 68 from 33 deliveries. It was a pretty good innings from him. And then and the partnership itself, a 70-run partnership that legitimately came to an end. The Scorchers reached the halfway mark at a massive 2 for 104, which they were. If you do the maths, that's a bit, just a touch under 10.5 and over, which I think is the first time that a team had brought up 100 runs in their innings within 10 overs, I believe. I don't know. I don't think that a team has done that this season. It just proves and let's just say the Junction Oval is not a very big ground. It's not a big ground. It's a very small ground. I remember the practice game with the Melbourne Stars against the Melbourne Renegades. They played there. Apparently, they were very short, and both sides made 220 runs with the Renegades winning that one. So it was pretty obvious, really, that it was going to be a high-scoring game. Really. The Scorchers soon took their power surge in the 13th over, unlucky for some. But it did yield it in the wicket of Nick Hobson for 46 from 26. He was on the verge of getting to his half century, but unfortunately got caught behind on that one. And then Ashton Turner chopped one onto his stumps for one, which they allowed Luke Wood to get his second wicket. The Scorchers did end that power surge with 2 for 24. With 2 for 24 on that front, and then of course Inglis, and then Inglis came out, and he just started smacking the ball. From what I've heard, smacking the ball to all parts of the ground. Brought up back-to-back 50s, of course. I think he got 50 in the last game against the Hurricanes down at Launceston. So this time it was off 25 balls. Speaking of half century 25 balls, the 50 partnership between him and Aaron Hardy, they soon bought that one up. And then, unfortunately, Inglis's blitzkrieg of an innings came to a sudden end when he drove a ball straight to mid-on for 74 from 33 deliveries. That got Wood his third wicket. Soon, Aaron Hardy was another one that bit the dust of Luke Wood. He got caught, got the top edge and got caught, I believe, somewhere for a quick 530 from 17. It was, and this was also the final over as well, by the way, during the innings, and Wood got his second wicket in 3 balls and his fourth in the match, and then on the last ball of the innings, bowling to Jai Richardson, he got his fifer in with Richardson caught it mid off on the last ball of the innings for a golden duck. It was 2 and 2 balls for him. Third wicket in 4 balls, and of course, as I said, it took his fifer, the second bowler to do that in this season after Henry Fortin, when he took 5 for 3 in that. So yeah. So that left the Perth Scorchers, ending their 20 overs with a monstrous 7 for 229, going at just under 11.5 and over, by the way, 11.45 to be exact. Which that innings, by the way, included 16 fours and 17 sixes in that innings. You could tell that they utilised the small boundaries at the Junction Oval quite well. There. Of course, Duplessis and Inglis led the way with 68 and 74 scores of 68 and 74 respectively. Nick Hobson with 46 and Aaron Hardy with 30 also contributed with their separate quickfire scores. And of course, Luke Wood, despite going for 12 and a half, exactly 12 and a half and over is a comedy rate. He got figures of 5 for 50 from his 4 overs, which it has to be the record for the most amount of runs conceded to get a 5 in T20 cricket. It has to be a record, surely. which left the Melbourne Stars to chase down a massive 230 runs to win from the 20 overs at a required rate of exactly 11.5 and over to get back-to-back wins in the Big Bash. Obviously, they beat the Hobart Hurricanes in their last game. Excuse me. Excuse me. At the MCG. It started pretty decently, but it wasn't long before the penny dropped with Joe Clark get caught off the top edge for 18 off 11. Tom Rogers hit one off the leading edge, went straight down mid on throat. For 9 off 10, that got Berendorf his second wicket in the over. Of course, he got Joe Clark earlier in that over as well. The Stars ended their power play with 2 for 38, which I think is close with the Scorchers, I believe. Actually overtaken it massively. At 2 for 38, so they were pretty much on target really on that front, but it went downhill pretty quickly. Marcus Stoinis came out. He got it finally after 3 innings. Finally got his first runs of the season, but that's as far as he went. He tried to hit a boundary, but unfortunately, I think got caught for 4 off 7. So at the halfway mark, the Melbourne Stars got to 3 for 79, but they needed 151 runs from their last 10 overs, at a required rate of just over 15 runs and over. That you could tell that the Scorchers definitely going to win the game here. So the Stars in the 11th over took their power surge. It was a very good 50-run partnership of 35 balls between Bo Webster and Nick Larkin. Of course, the Stars ended their power surge with none for 18. Soon Nick Larkin with that partnership of 52 ended, with Larkin holding out in the deep for 34 of 24. Then Bo Webster was the next to go, being knocked over for 42 or 33 ball or 43 from 32 balls by the great Peter Hatzoglu. Still can't believe the Renegades let him go. Still can't believe it, really. To be honest. By that stage, the game was gone completely. I mean, it was already gone by that stage, but it was officially gone by Webster going, really. Cartwright was the next to go. Jai Richardson, of course, who went into the game, I believe, with 7 wickets, got his 8th wicket for the season on his last ball of his 4-over spell. Caught in the deep, with Cartwright getting caught in the deep for 8 off 9. Campbell Kellaway, I think only like his second game of BBL cricket. It didn't do too bad. It got 25 from 14. Unfortunately, got caught at short third man, which handed Berendorf, handed Berendorf. I think Berendorf his second wicket. I think. Then later on, in that, Luke Wood got caught in the deep for 13 off 11, which handed Berendorf his 3rd wicket as well. And that was pretty much the end of that. The Stars ended it with 8 for 168, well short of the target, with the Scorchers winning by 61 runs. Bo Webster and Mitch Larkin were clearly the best Stars batters with 43 and 34 respectively. Jason Behrendorff was the Scorchers' best bowler, taking figures of 3 for 32 from his 4 overs, and was very well supported by Big Pete with Hatsoglu with 2 for 28 from his 4 overs. With, not surprisingly, Josh Inglis winning man of the match for his knock of 74 from 33, which included 5 fours and 6 sixes in that innings, which was absolutely unbelievable. And I think that, and basically, if you do the maths, it's basically 56 runs out of his 74, of his knock of 74, were all hit in boundaries. So the Scorchers, they have a record of 2-1, the opposite record of the Stars, with 1 win and 2 losses in their first 3 games. So nothing really much to say about that game really. So we move on to the match later that night, later last night between the Brisbane Heat and the Adelaide Strikers. So the Brisbane Heat won the bat flip and elected to bat first. It didn't start very well with Colin Munro. I think in the second over got caught a backward point for 1 off 3. Soon Renshaw was caught in the deep for 2 off 5. So, Matt Short got his second wicket for the over. Of course, he previously got the wicket of Munro. Then opener Max Bryan and the Englishman in Sam Billings steadied the ship really after the early strife that the Heat were in, with the Heat finishing their power play on 2 for 27. Soon Bryant and Billings got to their 50-run partnership off 34 balls. But of course, Max Bryan, unfortunately, he made a very well 46 from 29. Unfortunately, got caught in the deep. Caught in the deep, handed P. Sids his first wicket. Then Jimmy Pearson went trying to hit a 6 from what I've heard, but obviously didn't clear the boundary. Of course, they handed Siddle his second wicket in the over. By the halfway mark, the Heat reached halfway mark at 4 for 70 after at the halfway stage. Ross Whiteley, he got caught behind, for 10 off 12, which handed Matt Short his third wicket, which was fantastic. It just proves that he's no slouch of the ball either. Of course, we all know his capabilities with the bat, with the willow in hand, as well. It wasn't until the 15th over that the Heat took their power surge, which they didn't really do that much with it. They did well. No teams really made an impact in that power surge. I mean, the Strikers didn't take any wickets at the same time. The Heat were restricted to just 12 runs from that 2 over power surge. Soon, Billings brought up his half century off 39 balls. Then soon afterwards, Nisa, it was caught a top edge, I believe, at deep fine leg for 12 or 14. Then Billings' great innings of 79 came to an end, being bowled. I remember watching the replay of this dismissal. I believe he tried to ramp it, but unfortunately exposed his stumps and got bowled. for 79 or 48. Excuse me. Then James Baisley came out there. He didn't last long. He got caught off the top edge for 5 off 4, which handed Wes Agar his second wicket. And then that left Mark Steckity to come to the crease. He didn't last long. He got caught on the boundary on the last ball of the innings for just 1 off 2, which handed Wes Agar his third wicket in the over. And that's where it ended for the Heat. Obviously, it ended for the Heat on 9 for 166 from their 20 overs. Sam Billings was definitely the Heat's best batter with his knock of 79 from 48. Who was also very well supported by opener Max Bryant with his 46 from 29. Other than those two, not much really. Not much really from the other Brisbane batters. Excuse me. So that left the Adelaide Strikers needing 167 runs to win from their 20 overs at a required rate of 8.35 runs and over to make it 4 wins from 4 games in BBL 12. Started in the worst possible fashion for the Strikers, with Jake Weatherald being given out LBW on the first ball of the innings, but it was reviewed, but that review was unsuccessful, which would bite them in the back. That failed review would bite them in the backside. I'll get to that in a bit. Soon, Matt Short was caught at short fine leg for 3 off 2, and then Chris Lynn. This is where I said that it said a moment ago about that unsuccessful review biting him in the backside, and this is where it happened, because Chris Lynn was given out LBW for 12 off 10, but apparently on Ball Tracker it showed that it missed the stumps, and because they already burned that review, Lynn couldn't review it, so that meant he was on his way. And that's the one thing I like about the BBL finally getting the decision review system in. Because I think for me, because you get some decisions, like most decisions that have been so far this season, where it's generally been the right decision, and then there's some that have reviewed it that have been successful, and then there's some that haven't, and then this is prove it that you need to use that review wisely, because from what I heard, the Weatherald review was clearly plum LBW, and then in comparison to Lynn's one where it was given out but it was going to miss the stumps. Just imagine if they did have that, if Weatherald didn't review it, and then it was sent and just completely went on his way. And then that meant they had that review up their sleeve. Then that dismissal from Lynn happened, and he reviewed that, and they probably would have been not out. Then maybe, possibly, that would have changed the complexion of the game, but it didn't. And Lynn was on his way for 12 off 10. The Strikers ending their power play at 3 for 36. That brought Adam Hose to the crease, and he didn't last long. He held out in the deep for 8 off 11, handing Mark Steckity his second wicket, and the Strikers were in a bit of early trouble at 4 for 39 at this particular stage. Then Thomas Kelly came out, who was only in his third Big Bash game, came out to join Colin de Gronholm. And they steady, and just like what Billings did with Billings and Bryant did in the heat innings, they really did steady the Strikers' ship. Really steady the ship on that front. Of course, at the halfway stage, Adelaide was at 4 for 73. They needed another 94 runs from the last 10 overs to win at a run rate of just under nine and a half runs and over. A very slow 50-run partnership off just 45 balls between Kelly and de Gronholm. And of course that partnership came to an end where Kelly tried to chip. From what I heard, tried to chip in the air. Unfortunately, didn't come off in the end. It was caught in the deep for 43, ending his innings of 43 from 33. And also ending the partnership between he and de Gronholm with 73 from 60, which handed Steckity his third wicket. But de Gronholm wouldn't last either, because he would chop one on for 37 from 30 deliveries. And the complexion of the game has changed it again. Then the Strikers, they took their power surge. Rashid Khan, as usual, he would try and go for the big shot, but unfortunately he would top edge it straight out. Excuse me, why am I yawning so much? Straight down mid on throat for 2 off 4, which got Mark Steckity his 4th wicket of the match. The Strikers ended their power surge with 1 for 25, so it was still open there. It's still there for the taking, really, for the Strikers. Then Agar tried to go for one too many, which handed Nisa his 2nd wicket. Obviously, got the wicket of Weatherald first ball. Which was the second time that's happened, because he took a wicket in his first ball against the Renegades down at Geelong. So the second time in the space of 3-4 days that's happened to Nisa on that front. But Agar, of course, he tried to get the Strikers closer to the target, but unfortunately it didn't come off in the end. So too did Harry Nielsen. He got caught in the deep as well. I would assume tried to do the same thing, and got caught for 24 off 17. And that was the end of that for the Strikers. With them ending their 20 overs on 9 for 160, 6 runs short of the target of 167. Matt Kelly top scored for the Strikers with 42 from 33. Supported by Colin de Gronholm with 37-30. Steckity was definitely, no doubt, the pick of the Brisbane Heat bowlers with figures of 4 for 34 from his 4 overs. Fantastic bowling from him. The Brisbane Heat won the match by 6 runs, which now finally all 8 teams. Within 13 matches, all 8 teams, and within a couple of weeks of BBL 12, all 8 teams have at least won one game in this season. And unfortunately, that has ended the Adelaide Strikers' unbeaten run to the season, which meant now my team, the Melbourne Renegades, are so far, at the time of recording, are the only team that are undefeated in the season. They're still yet to play today against the Hurricanes. So I'm recording this. So yeah. Not surprisingly, Sam Billings, he ended up getting man of the match for his 79 from 48. Which included 6 4s and 4 6s. So the first win of the season there for for the Heat. Now, before I end this video, you guys want me to talk about this. So I want to talk about my thoughts on Fazal Faruqi getting his contract terminated by the Sydney Thunder. Apparently from what has been mentioned is apparently there was a incident on last Thursday night. I don't know if I'm looking up the cricket.com.au app cricket.com.au website right now and try to check and see trying to check it out to see if here we go. So I'm not gonna read you all the article that is on cricket.com.au, but yeah. So it says here the Afghanistan pace bowler Fazal Faruqi has had his contract, his Big Bash contract, torn up by the Sydney Thunder following an incident last week, which was investigated. As it says here, which was investigated by the Cricket Australia's Integrity Unit. There's been nothing come out yet about what this incident was. I don't think it will ever be If I was Cricket Australia, I would not bloody release why what happened in this incident to the public, because otherwise that's a breach of Faruqi's privacy on that one. And if they do, then probably there will be lawsuits and that sort of stuff. That will happen. So yeah, apparently, and apparently the club had been on. This incident was on Thursday the 15th, and his contract was terminated last night on the 23rd. So this happened last week. I think this was before the game where they got bowled out for 15. I think it was that. So yeah. I'm gonna try to go further down the article here, see if there's anything to do with it. Now, and of course, and it's not just the Sydney Thunder he's playing for. Of course, he's playing. He's going to play for the MI Emirates team in the UAE. The UAE T20 League, that's to start up in January. He is of course signed. He of course is a member of the Sunrisers Hyderabad squad in the IPL. Speaking of the IPL, of course, there's the IPL auction that's going on. That's been going on right now. So yeah, I can see here. There's nothing that it says here about the incident. I would assume that Cricket Australia will be very, very, very tight-lipped on what this incident was. It must be very bad to have his contract terminated at least, and I don't think it'll affect him. It'll affect him playing with the MI Emirates in the UAE, and also playing for Sunrisers Hyderabad in India. I don't think it'll affect it, but no, probably it'll come out. It'll come out probably next week that other teams that he's a part of he'll be terminated for. So you never know with that in terms of that front. So that is pretty much it. Pretty much it really for this video. Like this video. Like this video. shares to anybody who to anybody who's a Perth Scorchers fan or a Brisbane Heat fan. Comment down below, because all this about the Faruqi incident is now suspect, and obviously we're all gonna have have our own conspiracy. You can't say it now. I'm just not going to say it. I'm just going to say theories on what happened. Comment down below what your theories were about this incident. Do you think it was a bizarre incident? Was it an inappropriate behavior? It says here a behavior incident. If it was inappropriate, do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And if you're a Sydney Thunder fan, what are your thoughts on this? I would love to hear everyone's thoughts about this topic. And the last thing, somewhere down there, is a big red button which is labelled subscribe. But until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later, and wherever you may be, may the sun or the moon shine on you.